Hello.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope the weather is as lovely for you wherever you are as it is for us here.
It's lovely here.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Right, so today we are having a bit of a general session to talk about, great tips for your email marketing. And this has come about as a request from one of our clients who just, when we're talking with people, we often sound off like lots of little tidbits of information. And they said, well, can you do a webinar where you just try and consolidate all of that? So the answer is
not a bad idea.
No, it's a really good idea. So
I've got my room mug again. It's like, probably know what it says.
Right, Teresa, do you want to, as master of the slides, would you like to start?
Slide master.
I mean, you say that we've got 3 slides.
Actually, Charlotte, you'll be surprised. Obviously, there's great teamwork coming on here because she doesn't even know what's on the slides. You know what? We practice and practice this, no matter how often we practice it, it always gets. No, we don't actually. We don't actually practice it, right? And when I did do a practice, that's it. Thank you, Charlotte. Can you move us? Because when I did that as a practice, it was absolutely fine. So yeah, this is obviously a read through. Charlotte's going to be covering the changes to the wider email marketing community. Things that are happening that you need to be aware of when you're sending your emails and things that you need to maybe do in the background. Charlotte will also be covering the images, size, placement, and the accessibility. I'll be covering a part of that as well, and there's other bits she'll be covering. I'm going to be covering the content, which is AIDCA. If you've not heard of it or you've heard of it, don't worry about it, as in, or get excited about it. Also, I'll be covering, and Charlotte, I'm sure, undoubtedly will be chipping in.
Shoving her on.
Exactly. You already did when I was saying what I was going to talk about. Well, I don't think. Anyway, we'll come to that. Branding design, continuity, recognition, and user experience, and then of course our open questions free for all. And we do hope you've got some questions for us. I do have a disclaimer. You'll like the disclaimer, Charlotte, on the slide, on the disclaimer side. See, we've got more slides than she realised.
Oh, I'm excited too now.
But what we haven't got a slide of. No, we haven't got a slide of changes to the wider email marketing community. So I'm going to leave it on that slide. Actually, I'm going to stop the slide presentation for now. But we'll come back to it because you can just talk about this. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So there are 2 things that are coming up. One is actually already in progress. One is coming into effect in June, and that is called the European Accessibility Act. This is a thing, a bit like GDPR, that the EU has introduced for member states. And it is all about accessibility in general, but there are specific requirements for web and, by extension, email. Now, we in the UK are no longer in the European Union. So you could say legislatively, we are not affected by this in the same way we were affected by GDPR. However, traditionally, what the EU does, we will enact our own version of. Even if we don't in the UK, if you sell to people in the EU, if you communicate with people in the EU, you will be impacted.
Southern Ireland, of course.
Yes. You will be legislatively bound by it.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, say that. So what does it mean? It means you've got requirements on things such as making sure that screen readers can read your emails. It's to do with making sure you have appropriate levels of colour contrast in your emails, so that people who might be hard of sight or have particular colour requirements are able to see your emails clearly. It's about making sure that text is readable, and indeed that there is text at all, because obviously screen readers cannot read images. So if you manage websites as well, that will probably be a lot more important on that side, or it'll have more wide-ranging effects. But actually, when you look at emails, it still does have an impact. And like I said, even if in the UK we don't enact any kind of legislation to make our own version of the EAA, it's still good practice, and it's still really important.
And it's also about, if you think, it's the email server, you've got Google, you've got Gmail, they're going to be looking at this anyway. And it's like, if it's not, it might not get into people's inboxes if you've not thought about this and you're not adhering to it. So whether if you're only sending in to people, down the road, Google doesn't know, they don't care. So you've got to be thinking about that as well. So it's just really good practice to do it from here on in. And obviously we're going to be showing you what examples of it.
Yeah. The next thing to bear in mind, and this is the one that is already in progress, is a little thing called AI, artificial intelligence. In the last year, we have seen a bigger impact on AI deciding whether or not your emails are seen and relevant to users. We use Google Workspace at Munich Mail, and in the last 6 months, Gemini has appeared in our inbox, and we can switch it off, but actually it makes our lives a lot easier, including stuff like summarize email content, which is great for when you get those long emails to do with meetings that you don't want to really be a part of.
Not our clients.
No,
it's not. I said that like it is, it isn't. But
yeah.
External, we think that sort of thing.
Yeah. So, you just hit the summarize email function, and there we go. Gemini will read through it for you, and in about 2 to 5 seconds, it's got a nice summary for you to decide if it's relevant. That's
do that if you've got no words in it.
Correct. On a business level, there's that side of it, but then also on a consumer level, Apple users have now got email summaries that are generated by AI. And so that means an AI summary can dictate whether or not your email is deemed open worthy for the end user. And I'm hoping that makes sense, but obviously, please let me know if you have any questions. But that means average Joe, who you're email marketing to, if they've got this feature enabled on their iPhone, Apple Mail will just give a quick summary of the email, and then that might in turn affect average Joe's decision to open your email. So we're talking about how do you make it so that your email content has a nicely and compelling AI digestible summaryability.
Summaryability. I think I made that word.
Summarizability. Hopefully that.
Sum it up easily.
Okay, Mark's come in with a question. This was going to be one of my questions. How to create subject lines, preview text, and what to do with sender names to avoid spam filters or AI sending you to the promotion filter. Well, okay, so by extension, this is sort of going to be the overarching theme of the tips and tricks that we're going to be covering. So everything that we're going to lead on to next will contribute towards those things. So not to fob you off with there, Mark, but the reason why we're explaining these things at the start is because it's sort of the sphere through which we're looking, through everything.
It's quite hard. It's a great question, but how do you not end up in the promotion tab when if you're sending a promotional email? It is hard. But hopefully we'll cover it. Yeah, I've also got a slide on it.
Yeah. So AI is also going to keep growing. So if you can imagine, and this is conjecture sort of on my part, but I can imagine someone who's clearly more fit and active than me taking a jog with their AirPods in, and Siri says, you've got a new email. And then Fit Frankie, as I've named her, my alter ego, says, okay, thanks, Siri. Can you tell me what that email's about? And Siri goes, it seems to be an email to do with offers on summer clothing. Oh, okay. Can you just mark that as read? Or can you unsubscribe me? No problem, Fit Frankie. Do you see where I'm going? The growth of AI is really significant here. So what we're talking about now is all the things that are going to make your emails more compelling, in both in terms of accessibility for average human and impact for artificial human. Okay. Next slide.
Okay. Hey, hang on, I've got to go back to the slides tab and start presentation.
I'm doing my Chris Whitty. Next slide, please.
So this is also you. So you're going to be good practice with images.
Yeah. Really. So in context of those two things that we talked about, both the accessibility and AI, the important thing is neither of those can read images yet. It's not to say it won't be able to do it in the future, but actually your strongest thing to think about is do not lock your email content or the understanding of your email content behind your images. Images should be used to support text content, but not supplant it. If you send emails that are mostly images, at this point, you're probably going to be losing out on traffic, on engagement, on conversions ultimately.
Yeah, can I just interrupt that? I mean, the point at the bottom, the alt tags, that's where this is absolutely completely relevant, and it's more than it's always been. So I'm sure those of you that are on the call use alt tags. If you don't, what it is, it's the wording that you put behind the image. So things like AI can read, at least see what the image is. And normally, or what people would do in the past, potentially, is just say image of a tree, image of a frog, image of a dress. That's not good enough. It's not good enough at all. So you really need to describe what the image is and say what it is in the context of the email. So AI can see that and read it out. So if you've got, sales on summer dresses and Fit Frankie's kind of gone, nah. But if your alt tags of your images on summer dresses are saying, blue and white, spotty, floral, whatever, knee length dress made of cotton, blah, 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 that's a different thing altogether. AI will then read that out and then Fit Frankie might, oh, that sounds nice. So you really have to be it's not even about being clever. You just have to be thoughtful about what you put in to describe the images. It's no good anymore just saying image of a tree.
Can I ask you to do a live unplanned example?
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to share my screen.
Oh, God.
So
I'm going to stop the presentation.
Oh, no, it should take over anyway. Oh. Right. I've just gone on to Free Pick and I just picked up any photo. So, Teresa, just to give a real life example, can you describe Absolutely. What a bad alt text would be for this image?
People in swimwear. That would be because that's what people in swimwear, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
But a good alt image would be 3 people standing in front of a white or whatever that is, in front of a backdrop of a blue sky and a beach. The woman on the left is wearing a neon yellow full one-piece swimsuit with I'm trying to look. I think she's got
visor on
with a sun visor.
Sorry, I'm looking at it real on my big screen, and Teresa's looking at the little version.
Gentleman in the middle is wearing a stripy, you get the picture, stripy top with orange, blue and white stripy top with dayglow orange board shorts. Then you've got the woman on the left wearing a red. There's all and you can put or not that he's got a buoy around his neck, because that depends, and this is quite important, on the brand. If the brand is that quirky brand, which this probably is, you probably would mention it, and then you'd say next to them is a deck chair, a blue and white classic deck chair with thrown over blah blah blah, and you might be thinking all that.
Yeah. I would also add, because I think the integral thing for this image is they're pointing at something and looking shocked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So 3 people, and then so describe the image itself, and then go into the detail of what they're wearing, because obviously what they're wearing is about to.
Yeah. So Rebecca has just asked, how can people add their alt text? So now we can only show you on Munich Mail, but every ESP that you use will have their own functions here. So on Munich Mail, you would go into your template. Apparently I've got some unsaved changes. Click on your image once you've added it, and if you scroll down under image properties, you've got the option to add your alt text in.
What's we put on?
What have I put in that? So I have put picture of a man with glasses and an aqua mohawk sat behind a laptop. The text says, "Love our service, review us on Facebook."
Spot on.
So there we go. That is how we do that in Munich Mail. Right. Thank you very much for the live unplanned.
It's all right. Yeah, that was good. That was good example. Good example. Right, we go back. We're going back to slides now, because it just automatically
stopped it. Yeah.
Stopped it. So
those are our alt tags. Right.
Yeah, we started at the bottom, but
yeah,
I'm now sitting back in this.
Okay. So aspect ratios. You probably think about aspect ratios in terms of what you put on your social media, but they also have an impact on your email. The reason being, when you think about images shrinking down, when you look on a mobile, everything naturally gets smaller. So when you Google this, the preference seems to be a 16:9 ratio or a 4:3 ratio. Now that's really good.
I don't know what that means,
Don't you?
No, I don't. I know that I'm nodding because I see it, but I don't.
So that means whatever units you use, there's 16 of them in the width and 9 of them in the height. Yeah.
That's not very good at maths. Yeah, that makes sense.
Now that works if your image is purely image based. However, if you do need to put text in your image that you want to be legible, personally, I prefer to switch to an aspect ratio that is taller than it is wide. So minimum 1:1, okay? Which is what people think of as the standard square Instagram post. And that way it means that your text is going to stay the same proportion.
When it gets squashed.
Yeah. If you've got a lot of text that you want to put in your image and you've already made sure to include it in your alt text, I actually prefer the portrait style. And you'll see this when you look at your own emails. It gets used a lot by fashion brands because obviously clothes typically tend to be, well, unless you're me, they tend to be longer than they are wide.
For those of you that aren't aware, Charlotte is vertically challenged. So what she's saying is her trousers are that wide and that short. I'm not vertically challenged, but I'm with you.
So yeah, when you're thinking about having lots of images, or images where you've got text in, consider swapping to a more portrait size. To bear in mind that most people read their emails on their phones. That is standard across the board, no matter what industry you are in. Most of your consumers will be reading on mobile. And critically, try and make sure you never use people do this for headers. They tend to put a wide thin image, say with the logo on or something like that, that when it goes to mobile, it ends up being about that high and you can't actually read what's in it. So that's my thoughts on aspect ratios. Size, as standard, you always want to make sure whatever the height is, it's at least 650 pixels wide. Again, because that suits the lower end display size for mobile. Again, anything less than that, and the chances are it's going to appear very blurry in your mobile. In your mobile view. Placement in emails. So again, the preference is that people tend to put the logo at the top and a big header. I think the trend is moving away from that now, because ultimately, when someone's clicked your marketing email, they already know who it's from. So do you really need to waste that critical space at the top by taking it up with your logo? Now, Teresa, you were a journalist, so you know all about the term above the fold. Yeah. And would you mind explaining it?
You've not actually thrown them at me today. So above the fold is literally what you're seeing when you open that email, first of all. And Charlotte's absolutely spot on with saying that you don't want to waste that space, which is really key, that people look at and their eyes are drawn to with talking about yourself. In other words, your logo. Now, I will say I am a journalist. I'm a trained journalist, so I just don't have it as a job anymore. But the other thing I am is a trained salesperson. And one of the sales trainings we went on was exactly the same thing. And it was all about above the fold. So it's the same. So it's where your eye is drawn before you have to scroll. So before that scroll, and it's before the fold is because it was a newspaper that you folded in half.
So the digital term is before the first scroll.
Yeah,
isn't
before
it?
The first scroll.
And going back to the AI thing, if your first chunk of your email is like images and logos and everything, that puts the crux of your message further down. So how is AI going to digest the core of your message?
It's that, and absolutely. And I was just going to clarify that a little bit more, really, or say that with the sales training, which was like old style sales training, but I did newspaper advertising, and they said, the logo, the customer wants it in there, but it's the least important part of that advert, because you've got a limited amount of space, which you did with newspaper advertising. But the biggest thing and I'm going to talk about this next. The biggest thing that you need first is the thing that's going to grab their attention. That's the thing that needs to go at the top, which actually, unless you've got something to add, would really well.
The only other thing I can offer that is a quantitative bit of information is the ratio of images to text. So that's for any email, your max text to image ratio should be 60-40. So that means maximum 40% images.
Yeah. It was like
Ta-da! Well, it is tumbleweed when you're doing it.
It's just me and you, and I'm busy writing it down. No, absolutely. So the segue didn't work, but I'll go with that nicely with our it didn't work at all. But actually it does. So I'm going to go on to the next slide now. This AIDCA, if you've heard of AIDA, which is actually over 100 years old, as it's a marketing, it's a sales thing, it's an acronym. I can't say it. It's letters that stand for something. And the initial one, I can't say it. The initial one would be attention, interest, desire, and action. And what I've done, and somebody else I used to work with actually has done as well, has put a couple of other things in. So it's attention, interest, action, desire, compel, and action. So
there's doubles. I'm interested.
They're all doubles. And I asked AI to do this, and I didn't ask AI to put my thing of attention, interest, action, desire, compel, and action in. But I'm going to put them into the example I'm going to show, actually, because it's just so much easier to show you.
Is this one of my surprise slides?
Well, I'm showing the screen.
Oh, so we've got more slides and extra screen content.
Yeah, but I don't know how.
And we're going to have to break the illusion and come round again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, it's there, isn't it? I've just spotted it. I spotted it. So this is in Gemini, right?
I can't see. Oh, it's loading up now. It's here. It's arrived.
I said to AI, please could you write me 150 word email marketing using the acronym AIDA? And then I said what it was, because in case it didn't know what it was, can you make it friendly? So this is what they've done. So what it is, right? So is the attention. So this, Mark, comes back to what you were saying as well. And so the attention really is your subject line. That's the first thing you need to do. I haven't asked them. Well, they have done it. They have done it. Boost your reach with AIDA email marketing. The context might not be quite right, but they've absolutely done it, because that attention is your email is your subject line, 100%. Because without getting that subject line to grab somebody's attention, they're not going to open the email. And then the interest. What did you just do?
I was going to be helpful and do some annotations.
But you can.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry. You know, as I say, we practice these things. So what they've done, and they've made it. They've done it quite cleverly, because they've written it in a way that it's not obvious what it is. So, want to make your emails truly effective? Let's talk AIDA, simple framework. And what they've actually done in that first sentence is their interest. And Mark, going back to what you're saying about what you would put in the preview text, you could actually put that in the preview text as well, or you could take that. I mean, and this is using AI to do it, but you could actually say to AI, "Can you write including preview text?" And they would do it. And this is perfect, because 150 words is a really good sort of length of email. I don't know what Charlotte was doing.
I failed at it. I failed at it. I thought it'd be helpful and cool, and I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, guys. I'm going on leave this evening, so probably for the best of me to recharge. Yeah.
Not yet, not during this webinar. So, I mean, you could read this, but, you know, they said what it is. Attention, grab your reader's eye with a compelling subject line or opening. Keep them hooked by engaging content. Desire, create a longing for what you're offering. Action, prompting them to do something like learn more or shop now. So, absolutely great. Absolutely good. I think that was really good. I probably wouldn't change it personally. I might do, well, I would do actually, because I'd want my tone of voice in there. But I talked about the other action and the compelling reason. So the other action. So if you see here, what it hasn't done is actually put an action in there, and the action would be shop here. You know, shop, learn more, shop now. And Charlotte and I have this debate in the office quite often. I'm somebody who will read it and then act. Charlotte is somebody who will glance it but wants to act straight away. So this is where you have the two actions. So you literally, if I wanted you to download something from this email, want to make your emails truly effective, let's talk AIDA. It's a simple, and I would just on that, you know, under that, I would put download your what's it, because that's it. Charlotte's kind of going, yeah, okay, and I want it.
Judged by my exploration of the whiteboard function.
Yes.
I will click a button and then work out why I clicked it afterwards.
Yes, and then it didn't work, so it was like, okay, I'm going to leave that. But I would want to learn more, so I would actually want it near the end. Now, so that's the two actions. So at the end on the action, the compelling reason that you need to give is something that why would they do it now? So I'm just going to stop sharing. Actually, no.
You want me to go back to slides?
No, it's fine. So the compelling reason is why would you do that now? So you could do so, and you put the text within this, and you would say something like, you know, only available for the next 12 hours, certain amounts. You could put a scarcity to it. That's what I'm saying. You can put a time on it. You can put a scarcity to it. You can do it in any way that you think, yeah, do it now. And really, those are the best ways, scarcity and time. Because, you know, we've been talking about this in the office generally about putting timers on emails, and that's a really good way. You know, you've only got 12 hours to do it. And if you have a timer on that email, even better, because they, you know, 12 hours from when? is what somebody's saying, isn't it? But it's actually from when they open is it from when they open the email, or is it from when the email was sent? You know, you've got to be thinking about those sorts of things. But that compelling reason means that people don't look at it and go, oh, I'll check that out later, because that's what everybody does. I say everybody, most people do. So it's about getting people to do something on their email, really. And then I just said, can you expand on that? And again, I haven't put the compelling, the extra, I will go back. And then they've actually just done this supercharge your social media AIDCA example. And then they've just literally, you would take out that AIDCA example and you'd use this as an email. Does your social media, that's the attention, interest, desire, and action. It would be worth redoing this actually with the compelling there, but please do. I am going to go back to the presentation again now. Please use it, because I'm telling you that I don't Charlotte's go, yeah, I will. This works. It works. It really absolutely works every single time, and it can work. It works better when the emails are shorter, even though you're thinking, well, that's harder. It does, but it does work better when the emails are shorter, but it can work when they're longer. It just works. It's not 100 odd years old because it's rubbish. It's 100 odd years old and still relevant because it's still relevant.
I suppose you don't, to me, I wouldn't think you need to put all of that necessarily into one email either. Well, yes, but you can also compound it though with stuff like automation. Like, so for example, if someone's clicked, you know, you got that option to say, well, they're definitely interested in it. So follow up, and that will further add that compel.
So you're doing it in the email, but you're taking it further, really. But you do need it in all the email. I would absolutely state that, and it doesn't have to be really big. I haven't got it here with my other business. I do a presentation on this, and it's an email from Mould Theatre, and they're absolutely superb at it. And I remember it was a performance of Romeo and Juliet, and they had everything in there, and the email was this big, literally this big, and it had, you know, Romeo and Juliet, that grabbed your attention, you know, and then it was like by the Shakespeare Company, that got your interest, and they had it all, and it was two for the, I think it was like, wasn't two for the price of one, limited seats available, booking now, booking essential. So in other words, it was like, oh my God, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to get this. And it's really good. They just did it really well. And I just don't know if they still do it really well, but their emails used to be great. Are there any questions on that, by the way? I've just talked at you for 20 minutes. Just wait a minute.
Well, I'm going to go back to Mark's question, actually, because all of these things go towards it's not necessarily keeping you out of the promotions tab. It's about putting you into the primary tab, because the primary tab is reserved for things such as actual conversations. And everything that you talked about, Teresa, is guiding people towards treating their email marketing as actual conversations. Do you know what I mean? That people will engage with. And if you engage with them, you're more likely to be seen as a primary tab-worthy emailer rather than somebody who just mail blasts. It's the classic one.
I mean, actually, that's a really good point.
And that's to do with the regularity of send as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm actually just scrolling my inbox because the email that you just described from Mould Theatre is exactly the same as, you know, my mate Aaron at Bloom and Wild.
Oh, you do like him, don't you?
I do. He's my bestie.
I guess expanding on my question, I've heard that some AI treat certain trigger words as a flag for spam promo free.
You are correct.
You are correct, but because you're using unique mail anyway, it will actually do that for you automatically.
It will alert you to it.
It will alert you to it, yeah.
I'm just going to share my screen now.
So, it depends on how you're doing the fear of missing out, really. Within the email context itself, in the email body, but if it's in the subject line, yes, it will, but not the body.
Going to move and make our picture a bit smaller so you guys can see this email. So my mate Aaron at Bloom and Wild, he's not my mate really, just to be frank. So I regularly get emails from them, and these end up in my primary tab. And everything that you described there, Teresa, about the AIDCA, I feel is in this type of email. So we've got that.
Yeah, it is, that's brilliant.
That subject line, last chance for free Mother's Day delivery, plus 25% off. Okay, so we've got the compel almost before, well, it's attention and compel both together. Yeah. And then the wording that they use in their emails is always great. And you'll notice there's no images in this apart from their little logo. So it almost looks like it is an email direct from Aaron, who, after our last conversation about my mate Aaron, I googled it. Turns out he owns the whole company.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Nice.
So it makes it look like the director and owner of the whole company is emailing me directly, and it's lovely. But yeah, no buttons, very little formatting to do with it, and then yeah, it always sneaks up, doesn't it? Yes, it does. It's Mother's Day. We're able to extend free delivery on most gifts. Here's your point status. That's great. And then that little PS, which is that extra bit of compelling. We still have slots left for most areas of the UK, but the odd postcode we may have already run out. Well, I don't want to miss out.
No, and actually, from what Walt's asked, it's about it goes into spam if you've got that compelling reason, you know, that scarcity, the fear of missing out. But actually, that is exactly the fear of missing out. Last chance for free Mother's Day delivery. So all the things, the percentage off, in fact, everything that I would actually generally advise not to use in a subject line, they've used in a subject line, and that's come there. But that is because you engage with their emails regularly, don't you?
Yeah. And that's it, because they have that conversational approach, because they have that really good content. And like I said, for some people, the Bloom and Wild emails may go into their promotions tab, but for me, they go into my primary, which shows you how much I resonate with that brand. And ultimately, that's what we're talking about, is making sure that your audience resonate with you.
Yeah, I mean, just because I felt I had to, because I should have done. I've used the AIDCA, so I don't know if you can actually see that. Let's just make it bigger. So, you know, refined it with email. It's the same thing. It's used it and talked about it on this particular thing. But yeah, create urgency or scarcity to push it for immediate action. Another action reinforce the desired outcome with a clear final instruction. Think of it as a journey. So I mean, this is great. Grab their attention, spark interest, guide them, build desire, compel them to act, then reiterate the desired action. It's like, whoa, Gemini, you're pretty good. But I have found I prefer Gemini to ChatGPT, because I put this in ChatGPT and they're still thinking about it.
I've heard Gemini because I can say it. I can never remember if it's ChatGPT or whatever. Mark's come back with another question. So I see that email was sent from Aaron G.
Yes.
And not marketing or no reply. Well, first of all, can I suggest never ever use no reply at, because why should somebody care about receiving an email to someone who doesn't?
There is there's an exemption, but there always is an exemption to the rule. If it's something that it's just an automated email back saying, yes, we received your request. If it's not a marketing email, really. Yeah,
that is.
Or it's details. You know, you've got a holiday booking and you're sending them out their details.
Yeah.
It's a different thing, but that's when it happens.
Yeah. But I would say, Mark, the use of sort of quasi or pseudo personalized emails like that one, they are on the rise because of that strength. It's that familiarity with the brand that really, really matters.
Oh, your segues are good, and you don't even know what the next slide.
Oh, I don't. Like I said, Aaron turned out when I LinkedIn stalked him. to own the whole company. And it really shows the values, I think. They're not pretending to be, they might be a large company, but they're actually coming away from that.
Friendly,
Yeah.
and not impersonal. I think they can be as big as they want to be, but they're coming across as friendly and not impersonal.
Yeah.
And they care about the customer. That's how they come across. They care about the customer. You're not too big. You know, they're not all. They might be big, but they're not too big to. Not. Yeah. Naked Wines do it. Yeah, Matt the wine guy. Absolutely.
Yeah. Does it risk people think they're actually talking with Aaron?
Well, it did, because obviously Charlotte did think she was talking with Aaron. But is that bad?
Well, I also get emails from Lucy.
Sorry, guess I'll worry your stalkers like you hunting us down. Charlotte!
I mean, ultimately, you know, you could just make up a name. Like,
you could do, but actually it was really good that you stalked Aaron and you found that he was a real person and he owned the company. But it didn't make you hate the company. It made you like the company more.
Yeah.
When they're real. So actually, you know, you could make up a name, but I would actually put somebody real in there.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing, if your business is the type to put a meet the team page on your website,
you put somebody else in.
Back it up in your emails.
Absolutely right.
Segue.
So, branding. Now, it is about, it's that building loyalty and promotes feeling of belonging. And that's what you said about that whole, you know, Aaron, the way he's talking and things like that. But their brand is that. Their brand is friendly. Their brand is very easygoing. And brand is not just the colours that you use, obviously. Well, I say obviously, it isn't just the colours you use, it's the tone of voice that you have, it's the values that you hold, it's your mission statement, it's everything about you as a company that people think of. What do you think of when you hear a name? You know, what do you think of when you see the logo for Aldi? I would say that you think, you know, high, low cost, good value, no frills. It's that, isn't it? What do you think of when you see the logo for? I'm just thinking is Daimler, you know, the car brand. Daimler.
Who?
Jaguar.
Oh.
Ferrari, whatever. What do you think of? You see that symbol and you don't think, oh, that it's that colour. You might think about a colour, but you think about luxury, you think about comfort, you think about experience, you think about wealth, you think about all these things, and that's what your brand is. So you do need to use your brand colours. If you have brand colours, if you've got a website, if you've got business, whatever you have, you need to follow it through, really, because it is about that instant recognition. Because we get so much spam these days. If you're sending an email, and even though I know we've just said don't put your logo at the top, there's other ways of doing it. Absolutely, yes, not Charlotte's right. There are other ways of doing it, and it is about using those colours and colour blocks or whatever the font that you use. Like Aaron, they just use that little logo.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely fantastic.
But it's also important, again, just going back to the beginning with our accessibility thing, is if you go to like contrast checkers on Google, that's what that thing's called. Run your hex codes through it. Make sure that it's got a suitable level of contrast. Just going back to that accessibility requirement.
I've just put that in just in case, contrast checkers on Google.
And it like gives you a percentage rating of how easy to see your colours are.
Absolutely. I mean, just as going slightly going off tangent, when I was showing you on Gemini, it's black background with white text. Now on print that works really well. On a website it doesn't. I don't think it works that well. I don't think it's that easy to read, but the reason they do it is because it's low carbon footprint. Just as a bit of a throwaway information there.
There we go.
So yeah, it does, having that branding right, builds that loyalty, promotes feeling of belonging. It's just all in there. And I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm Welsh. I'm very proud to be Welsh. And I was working with Business Wales on helping them with basically as an advisor on social media. And I was actually delivering a lot of workshops for them, bespoke work, whatever, on their behalf. And at the time, Business Wales, which is who it was, Business Wales, it's the Welsh government, had a logo of a purple brick piece. So, you know, it's like a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. And it was purple. And that was it. Everything that was printed was purple. It was there. So any workshop you went to, it was there. Anything that was printed, it was purple. I used to get these emails coming through from Business Wales, but it had a red dragon on it. And I thought, oh, spam. And I used to delete it all the time. And then I actually asked them, I was down, it was actually Llandudno Junction. I wasn't down in Cardiff in the centre, but I was in Llandudno Junction. And I asked them about this. And they said, oh no, that's our logo as well. And I was like, what are you talking about? And what had happened was they'd got a market, and I just find this bloody incredible, a marketing agency in, and the marketing agency said, use the purple puzzle piece because it's like we're the part of the puzzle that fits to build your business, because it's all about business building. And they go, you know, the people that worked there said, yes, okay, we're going to do that. But then all the officials, so the AMs, they kind of went, no, we're Welsh and our logo is a dragon, so we want that. So they agreed to have anything online, a Welsh dragon, anything in print, a purple block. I know, I'm looking at it now. It was like, what an idiot. So actually, it's just a story of like how to get it wrong. That's our money. It's my money. They use to do that. Any questions there? Because there wasn't any questions before. I'll let them come in because I'm going to go on to the next one.
Well, I'm thinking we've got like 12 minutes
I know,
left.
I'm going to be really quick.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure we've got Q&A. Q&A-ing as we
You interrupted me being quick.
I try and help.
I know.
I try and help.
Right, I know, but I'd shut up. We've just wasted a bloody minute doing that. Right, so the design of your emails, and this is not from a design point of the images and things like that. It's think about them, and obviously the AIDCA, but think about it from a user experience. How are they going to want them to look? And it's everything that we've said really. Yeah, that AIDCA comes into account. Different expectations, which is have that action button in two places and have different things, and you know, what are the images going to be? All those things. I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I have no questions. So think about everything so far within the design of the email itself. And I've put in the length of the email, and use anchor text if necessary. And Charlotte and I already argued over this before, as I've said. And she's like, well, emails should always be short. Well, yes, maybe they should, but sometimes they can't be.
Yeah.
And, you know, one example I gave is a Welsh and English version of an email, because if you're sending out, you know, it has to be Welsh first and English, but most people read English, so it's click here. So it's when it says click here for the English version. And that's the anchor text. We're not going to go into what that is, but what you would do. So if it was a newsletter and you had lots of bits of news that you wanted to talk about, at the top of it, the top of the email, you would just summarize each bit, each article, and then literally have a click here using anchor text to go to part of the email.
Give a good real life example of that one, and that is Martin Lewis's famous Tuesday money saving expert emails are full of them. They are such massive emails. It's probably, I reckon that's probably actually one of the most popular newsletters in the UK. But my God,
I personally hate them because there's too many.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's so big, even Gmail won't render it. Like it will say, got to view this thing as a web page.
Yeah, right. But they are popular. But that's what you're right. Imagine if he had to, everything was written and you've got to scroll down to find what you want. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. Right. Any questions? Do put them on there. But we're going to now, and you'll say this. So, any questions?
Yeah. And it can be about.
We don't know everything, but we can always point you in the right direction. So there's a discussion.
Yes, please. It can be related to anything. Emails, whether
or wasn't really, because I'm marketing, so I'm happy to answer anything. Really, you know, I'll open it up. Social media, marketing strategy, pricing strategy, anything. anything to do with marketing. My speciality is marketing communications, hence me working here. But yeah, I'm an old-fashioned marketer, as in I'm a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing. I'm not just somebody who's picked it up along the way.
I have.
I picked it up along the way, but I've got a lot of stuff behind me as well, really, and a lot of experience. Oh, there we go, Mark. You're great. If you want to have personal style emails, Aaron, is that? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. So you can have unlimited email profile.
Sorry, I'm laughing.
Oh, Sam.
So, great webinar, guys. Just one question from me. When's the next episode of Break My Email? Give the people what they want. Hashtag. I think we should do. Charlotte's going on holiday after this. Otherwise, I would say we should do it straight away.
Yeah.
while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
But that's a great question, Sam. If it's not this afternoon, it will be when Charlotte gets back. If I have to sit on her to do it.
Sorry. I just want to return quickly to Mark's question. So in Munich Mail, yes, you can have unlimited email profiles to do with once your domain's set up and authenticated. And then we can do some pretty snazzy things with them afterwards. Like you can, if you're using workflows, you can have different email profiles triggered based on, say, like you've got account managers in your business. Let's say you've got the same email, every customer is going to receive it, but you want it to come from that person's respective account manager. That can be done through workflows, and it's that kind of thing that's really, really powerful. Yeah. And ultimately, why you will have seen such as Matt the Naked Wine Guy, or is that correct? Matt the Naked Wine Guy. That's a bit of a grammatical problem, isn't it?
Matt's the Naked Wine Guy.
Yeah.
Why? It's not like Spank the Naked Wine Guy.
I just imagine this guy called Matt being naked with some wine.
Well, exactly, yes.
Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay. But yes, and Aaron and Lucy and Deb at Zapier, that's I've forgotten where I was going. I got distracted by Matt the Naked Wine Guy. It's why it's so popular, because it really does help you get into that primary tab and stay out of the promotions, etc. tab.
Absolutely. And I think I've said this before on webinars that we do. I've trained people on how to use MailChimp for years, and I still like MailChimp, and MailChimp absolutely has its place. Great. But until I came here with Munich, which is it's almost a couple of years ago now, isn't it? Yes, a couple of years at least. The capability of the Munich platform blows me away. I think every day, I can honestly say every day, some little that blows me away, and it's so easy to use. And more importantly, you've got us, or not maybe
all the crazy and the superb. What do they say about mad genii? Mad geniuses?
Don't know.
Well, they say something about them, and that's us.
Yeah, mad geniuses. Well, I wouldn't. And well, basically, I always used to wonder why I would always have a caveat when people didn't introduce me. This is Treasy. She's as mad as a box of frogs, and I used to think, oh, I don't think I am. But seeing as everybody, that 80% of people would introduce me that way, maybe they hadn't.
Yeah.
But with a lot of knowledge and a passion, that's what we have got.
Well, that's it. Look, if any of you guys want to talk specific use cases as ever, or review anything that we talked about, if you're a Munich Mail customer, you do get some consultation time. As standard within your price with us, so we are more than happy to review and suggest, make suggestions to your emails that you're currently sending that you may want to send going forward.
I've just put both our email addresses in the sticky chat.
Yeah, and we got 4 minutes to go, but I think
don't
the
have to
chat's been
finish.
chat's been quite quiet. So other than that, keep an eye out for the next episode of Rate My Email, where the crazy is completely finished.
And if I can do what I normally do, can you all please just put a comment in if you've enjoyed this, if you found this useful, something pleasant, something positive about this webinar before we leave. That would be absolutely fantastic if you could do that for us. Thank you very much. And if you've got anything negative to say, please don't keep it to yourself. Email either myself, Teresa, or Charlotte on the above email address. The email address is on the sticky notes.
Or Rebecca, because she's impartial.
Yeah, but I haven't put her email up there.
Yeah, people.
Yeah, so if you think, anyway, no. Thanks, very useful. Thank you, Mark. I think you're the, it makes me think, are you the only one still here, Mark? Because
no, it's not.
Nobody else is actually saying anything.
No, he's
Yeah, no, there's a few people here.
Yeah, no, he's just everyone's shy. Oh, no shy. Problem, Georgia. Glad you found it informative and hopefully a little bit funny.
Well, Rebecca, you're putting your head above the parapet. Well done, girl.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, everyone. And
thank you. I'm gonna leave it there. You can go if you put your comment in. You can go. Nothing more to be seen. Nothing to see. Move along. But I'm just going to wait until comment.
Okay.
Good night. Well, Charlotte.
How do I do that?
Just leave. Oh. Just go now. Right. Bye, everybody. We're all